Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is part 4 of A Surge of Desires. Enjoy. The next morning you woke to your alarm going off. You'd forgotten to reply your boyfriend's message from last night before, and so sent him something to make sure that wasn't a loose end flapping in the breeze. That morning's walk to college had your brain working overtime trying to figure out what to do. I'm no longer happy with my boyfriend. I really do need to call it off, but I don't want him to think it's because of Denki, if he hears about Denki. What to do about Denki? You then went on to replay last night, catching yourself smiling gently at the ground as you walked. Denki woke the next morning to a missed call from his parole officer, his forehead throbbing as he sat up and redialed the number. Denki Kaminari, you missed your psychology appointment yesterday afternoon, the officer said sternly. This is a breach of your parole, and if you don't make amends, you'll... Hey, I'm sorry, Denki said in a calming voice. I just got caught up at the cafe. It slipped my mind. Okay. You need to call them right away to make an appointment. It's important that you keep seeing them. Yeah, I know. It's all good. He reached his fingers to his forehead and gently felt the growing bump there. I'll call them right now. Good, the officer grunted. Denki hung up and then immediately rang his psychologist to rebook for tomorrow if she had a spot available. After making the booking, Denki got up and ready for the afternoon. He had a part-time job as an electrician for some guy who was running a re-entry program for those who had done time in prison. Taking his time, he got into his uniform and then went to the bathroom to brush his teeth, glancing across at his medication in the blister pack that was sitting on the side of the counter there. I've been feeling really good lately, he thought as he wet the brush with the paste on it and started scrubbing his teeth. I don't need them today. Satisfied with his decision, he then quickly checked the marks on his forehead and adjusted his fringe so that it covered the damage that he had done last night, and then he gave himself a wink and the finger guns in the mirror and left his apartment. He found it a little hard to concentrate at work. All he could think about was you. So once work was done, he jumped onto his motorbike and made straight for your cafe. Hey, he greeted the same manager as last night, who was on front of house duty again tonight. Yin in yet? Oh, no, she's not on tonight. She's got late classes, the manager replied bluntly. Oh, yeah, that's right, Denki replied with a smile. He clicked his fingers, trying to recall the name of the college that he hadn't ever been told. Oh, what's it called again? She told me last night, but I can't remember it, he lied. Southwest Institute of Psychology, she offered. Yeah, that's the one. He pointed his fingers at her as if to say bingo, and she gave him a half smile. Okay, I'll see you tomorrow then maybe. Have a good one. And he turned to leave, his next target locked and loaded. Where was he headed? Southwest Institute of Psychology. It was 6 p.m. now, and you were bored. The teacher's voice was just droning on for so long it was lulling you to sleep. You had your cheek slumped into the palm of your hand, cheeks squishing your lips open just a little as you stared at the wall behind the teacher, and then you let your eyes follow a crack that was running all the way up to the roof. Should I change my hair colour again? It's still blonde from yesterday. You thought as you then turned your attention to your hair, taking your fingers into it, and then holding the ends of it at the tips of your fingers and growing it a little longer to see it better. Maybe I'll go with a black bob? Movement at the window of the door caught your eye, and you looked, just in time to see someone ducking down, and you tilted your head curiously. Am I seeing things, or did that look like Denki? You didn't see the person again, and had almost forgotten what you'd seen when the bell rang to signal the end of class. Getting up, you collected your things along with the rest of the class and followed everyone out, mind elsewhere as you started off down the hall. Yo, Yin! A familiar voice called to you, and you turned to see Denki leaning up against the wall, arms crossed and smiling at you, looking very cool indeed in his navy blue electrician uniform. Denki, you greeted with a polite tone in your voice. What are you doing here? I'm doing some work here, he lied with a sexy grin. I happened to see you in class as I walked past. You done for the day? Yes, finally, you sighed. Classes are so boring. What are you studying? He asked as you fell in step and walked down the hall together. Psychology, he replied. My whole family comes from a long line of psychologists. It was a path already chosen for me. I'd totally see you as my psychologist, Denki flirted. I'd be cured in one session. You smiled internally, but didn't show any signs outwardly. This guy had charisma. You want to get something to eat? My shout. I worked hard today, he replied. Boss isn't asked, but if it means I get dosh to spend on you, then it's worth it. You're a shameless flirt, Denki, you snorted, giving him a soft punch in the arm. You keep forgetting that I have a boyfriend. Nah, I'm not afraid of him, Denki shrugged, pushing his hands into his pockets and shrinking his frame a little. You don't need to be. He only has one default setting, and that's to smile, you replied with a bit of bite in your comment. Then you realised you probably shouldn't be talking about your boyfriend with this guy, so apologised. Sorry, forget that. So you're an electrician? You quickly changed the subjects. Yeah, he said, brightening a little in the way that he was holding himself. It goes with my quirk. What is your quirk? You asked. Electric quirk, he replied, pulling his right hand out and holding his hand in a pretend gun shape, then shooting a small amount of lightning from his fingertips. Neat, he replied. My quirk is to change my hair length and colour. Sick, he nodded. Can you do a black lightning bolt in your hair like mine? He tilted his head down so that you could see, and his fringe inadvertently moved, showing you a portion of his bruise and scrape from last night. Yeah, probably could. Hey, what happened? You reached up and shifted the rest of his fringe out of the way to see the extent of his injury. Denki, you gasped. What happened? There was a lot of damage there, a purple, green and yellow bruise with scratches and dried blood. It looked terrible. Oh, Denki replied, quickly standing straight so that his head was out of reach and adjusting his fringe again to cover the marks. A piece of gyprock fell on my head while I was installing a light. What the heck? It looks pretty bad, dude, he said. Nah, it's fine. I've done worse. I've had worse, he said with a dismissive hand wave. Anyway, dinner? Hi, Yin! Yet another familiar voice called, and you froze, then looked in the direction of the voice. There was your ever-happy boyfriend walking down the hall towards you and Denki. I missed you, so I came to see you, he said with a smile as he walked up to you and Denki. You stiffened. Yo, Denki said, his voice holding just a hint of defence in it. What's up? Oh, hello, your boyfriend said happily, extending his hand to Denki. I'm Yin's boyfriend. Are you one of her classmates? Oh, panic. Step back from that cliffhanger too, by the way. Don't get too close. I'll see you tomorrow.